Hello, everyone. I'm Anders. This is Caroline, my wife. We are running the London Financial Independence Meetup group for over 2 years now. We used to be in pubs, then we went online. It's working very well. And sometimes
keeping the pub thing going there.
Yeah, we'll get back there. Sometimes we do some presentations. Sometimes we invite some of you to talk and present. And sometimes we're lucky to have outside speakers coming in. And tonight's speaker is somebody that I met through my previous employer, where I was going through a tough time. And one of the perks they offered was career coaching. And I signed up because I was needing all the help I could get. And I think Karen and I had, I don't know how many sessions together, but it was absolutely amazing, the help Karen gave me. And funnily enough, after listening to my story for 5 or 10 minutes, the first piece of advice she told me was, Anders, you need to change your job, which I thought was quite funny because her bill was being paid by my current employer. But I'll let Karen explain that one. And Karen, I've done as you've told. I've just started. I'm in my first week of my new job, and I'm absolutely loving it. So thank you very much again for everything that you did for me. So
no worries.
I think we're really lucky tonight to have Karen join us. And I think with that, I'm going to hand over to Karen. And Caroline and I will, as usual, keep our eye on the chat. There's often a very healthy conversation happening there. Do network there, ask questions. We'll try and keep our eye on it, but help each other out and answer questions there. Karen will highlight any questions that come up there for you as well. I know you'll open up for questions as well.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to this, Karen. Once again, thank you very much for being here tonight, and welcome.
You're welcome.
Thanks and welcome.
Oh, thank you both, Anders and Caroline, for inviting me over. Hello and welcome, everyone. It's a Thursday evening. You can bring your drinks, your food, your snacks, your dinner, your supper, whatever you need to make you feel comfortable. So I really want this to be a collaboration of me talking and you participating and asking questions. We will, throughout the conversation, I'll have a break. There's 2 breaks in here where I have, it's called Ask Me Anything, and it's where we can ask like really good questions, comments, whatever you have. So if you can hold your thoughts just to that part there would be absolutely great. We've got 2 parts to that, and then we can continue the conversation at the very end of our presentation, because I know we have, I think, 2 hours I saw on the invite, so I know it might be 90 minutes, but I am happy to stay that extra time at the end if we just want to, maybe we just want to network or just have informal conversation. However it looks and feels, we'll just go with the flow. I want to firstly just apologize to you all that my partner that was going to be speaking with me today, Tori, unfortunately had an emergency where she had to go to the hospital this morning, so she couldn't make it with us today. So I'm hoping that it be one and done, and I will show up and show out, and it will be just as good. So unfortunately, she can't make it, but perhaps we'll do it another time together. But don't worry, you'll be getting the same information as before. So nothing lost on your behalf. So I'm really excited that I'm here today, and I hope that we can continue the discussions even after this. So just moving along here. So I'm Karen Natasha. I'm the CEO and founder of Karen Natasha Coaching. Let me know too if you have any problems where you can't hear me or anything is astray. Just let me know of that, and I'll try to fix it if there's any issues as well. So you can put that in the chat, and Anders and Caroline will look at that. So I was born and raised in the UK, in South London, Tooting Broadway. Not sure if anyone's in the south side of things, but I was born and raised in Tooting Broadway. And then I moved to Toronto, Canada. So I now reside here in Canada, and I move between Toronto, the UK, and New York. I've worked in corporate for over 20 years, and I started off, believe it or not, as a receptionist at the front desk. don't underestimate receptionists or admin people. We're actually the crux of it all, of a business. We know everyone, we see everything, and we're usually the people, the support people that can usually help you. So I started off as receptionist, and then I worked my way up into the executive level. Another fun fact about me is I did a career change in my very late 40s. Now, I know I look super young, but actually I'm not as young as probably I look. I have 2 kids. One is just started in university. She's 18, and my son is 22. Don't have your mouths hanging open. This is supposed to be a fun fact. So I was born and raised in England. I have 2 kids, and I changed my career in my late 40s with no exit strategy. So I didn't have a nest egg. I didn't have an emergency fund. I didn't even have a plan. I don't advise anyone to take that route where you're jumping in head first, but just sharing with you what I did. I'm also a member of a mental addiction and health center for women. It's called CAMH here in Canada. And so I serve as a member helping women understand all about mental health. And then I'm also on a board of directors for a non-for-profit organization that helps with, again, the health community in the Black community. And so those are 2 things that really are meaningful to me, helping women, empowering women, and helping my community and understanding mental health in men and women. Those are just some things that are really close and dear to me. So some of the trends I want to talk about that I see happening in my coaching. So first of all, you know, I'm the CEO of Karen Natasha Coaching, and we don't only just do career coaching. So I have a team that works with me. So we do everything related to career and business, from resume writing to interview prep to one-on-one coaching. I also deliver my own Elevate training program to companies and organizations, and that's a professional development program. So it talks about things like building resilience, workplace communication, all those type of soft skills that are sometimes lacking in a job, because sometimes jobs are a little bit more technical than bringing out your soft skills. So it's an organization that not only coaches, but also does some training for organizations as well. And some of the trends that I notice, especially if you're in your mid-40s. So I'm really looking at people in their mid-40s because that's my clientele, and that's who I am. I'm sort of looking at myself and things that I went through, and the trends are still going through from when I gave up my corporate life to now. So some of the trends that I see happening, and see if you fall in any one of these buckets here. Professionals are no longer wanting to just depend on their employee till retirement. So when I grew up, pretty much you were with the company you started with to the very end. Now, it's not just millennials that are changing companies, it's professionals just like you and I who are sick and tired of being sick and tired and want to change. So they're not only looking at diversifying in their positions, but they want to diversify their income. And that's something that I mentioned with Anders when we were doing our coaching. And it's really something I stress with other people, is how do you diversify your income as well? So professionals also want to develop their personal brand. You may not even know what your personal brand is, but every time you say something, every time you communicate, every time you meet someone, you actually have a brand. So sometimes people say to me, well, Karen, I'm not a Nike or a L'Oreal or something like that. You don't have to be an actual product. As a person, you have your own personal brand. And even if you don't know what that is, someone like me can help you define what your personal brand is, or even help you to get the personal brand that you want to have. One good way of even figuring out what your personal brand is even just asking someone very close to you. So I'm going to use Anders perhaps in some of my examples. So he could ask, you know, Caroline, as in when we first met, what did you think about my personal brand? Your personal brand is who you are. What do you think I stood for when we first met? Fast forward to today, because I know they've been together for a little while. What do you think my personal brand is? Is it different than when we first met? What words come to mind when you think about Anders? Is it strong? Is it confident? Is it someone that's always accountable? What comes to mind? So just by Caroline giving him some feedback on that, he can actually have a sense of, you know what, Caroline, that's actually not the brand that I want to actually portray. That's really not who I want people to think I am. So even if you don't know, it's really good to get someone close to you, because they will give you really honest feedback. And then you can look at how you can potentially change that. So you may not know what it looks like, but we can figure out and we can show you how you can start that process. Then another trend that's happening is professionals want career development, especially entering the next chapter of their lives. So you're in a job right now and you really want to change, but you don't really know what you want to change to. You just know that what you're doing is just not working. Or you've become an empty nester, such as myself. Now my kids have grown up. It's just, I'm on my own here with my husband, and we're trying to figure out, okay, what next chapter of our lives. So you could be an empty nester, or you could be just simply entering a next transition in your career and not knowing sort of where to turn, what to go. So these are some trends that I'm seeing. You can fit in all the buckets. You may fit in one of the buckets, but these are some transitions. Now I would say we're going into our next chapter. And I have to tell you, from my coaching and my experience, the next chapter of your life is where the secret sauce is actually going to happen. This is where the magic happens. And I don't know if I have anyone here on the call with us that thinks of, oh my goodness, I don't want the next chapter to happen. But I have to tell you, from the time we're in our 20s until 40s, that's actually the growing stage. That's actually when you're figuring out what you want. Now, when you're in your 40s and you're moving up, older 40s and up, you're now actually experienced. So even if you're looking for another job, I don't want you to think of yourself as, oh my God, here's this old guy or old girl trying to go into another job. I want you to really amplify and look at yourself as an experienced and qualified person that's actually going into the workforce. And there's so much more that you can bring to the table that perhaps your other colleagues don't know. So this next chapter is when you really make the jump, either perhaps into management. If you're already in management, perhaps you're looking at executive, or perhaps you're looking at pivoting into a completely different area or field or industry. And this is where the secret sauce really happens for me. I get really excited when I'm actually working with people that are mid-40s and up. So there is light beyond the end of the tunnel, I have to tell you. So some of the resources we've developed to support this trend, I want you to know a stat that 1 in every 3 people have a side hustle. So for us in this group today, more than half of us will actually have some sort of side hustle, or they can call it side business, or even an idea. So in our communities, we have clients that come in daily, even with thriving careers. So I don't want you to think that this is just for people who maybe don't have much going on in their full-time life. That's absolutely not the case. As I said to you earlier, people are looking to diversify what they do, who they're about, what income they're bringing in. So we have folks from the tech industry, HR industry, finance, doctors, lawyers, other people still looking for freedom, or still looking to find out who they are and what they can do more. There's always more that you can accomplish. I know up to this level, many of you are quite successful. Many of you have a good home, good finances, and all those things in place, but there's still something you feel is missing or lacking, or more that you can do. And that's the kind of resources that we help you to discover, and we help you to unfold, and we help you to see that bigger picture of where your life can actually go in this next fantastic journey that you're about to embark on. So what we brought together with Karen Natasha Coaching is this Elevate Intensive 4-week program. And for me, this is really, really important, because when I left my corporate life, I didn't have anyone to really show me what to do. So there was many mistakes that I made along the way that could have set me up for success. So I've taken all of my misfortune, my mistakes, and I've created like a 4-week boot camp, so to speak. And it's a program to sort of propel your career and for you to take ownership of your personal brand and transform you in your life to be competitive, because we are in a global business. We are in a global environment. Even if you're in the UK, a lot of companies right now actually have that global footprint, and you want to be ready and prepared to take action with that. Your skills want to be at the level, now that we're on that second chapter of our life, your skills and your mindset has to be at the right level in order to compete. We don't want to compare, but we want to compete, and we want to up our level and up our game and our talents and skills to more. There's always more that you can do. You don't want to settle for the status quo or settle for the day-to-day regime that you do. We all also know that when we actually settle, or if we keep doing the same things with nothing new, you're actually becoming stagnant. I know sometimes we all get really comfortable doing the same old, and some of us don't like change, right? So change is something where most of us at this age of life, we're like, no thanks, let's go back to the normal. But you have to understand how the brain works. When you're doing things that are the same over time, it actually creates boredom. It actually brings in negativity into your life, into your world, because when your brain is stagnant and not doing anything, it actually brings in negative thoughts. So I don't know if you've ever been sort of sitting, not doing too much, nothing on your mind. It never goes to really the positive. It always thinks of things that are not going so right for you. So it's important to stimulate your mind, stimulate your energy, and really take ownership and self-accountability of where you want to go. And this program delivers that to help you to get there. Especially again, when you're in corporate, as I was, that's all I knew. So I knew that starting a business wasn't going to be easy, but I really didn't have a business mindset. I really had an employee mindset. And that's not to put anyone at all down on this call, but when you are actually in a corporate world, you don't really have a business mindset. However, the trend is now that a lot of organizations are actually looking for an entrepreneur mindset. I don't know if some of you may have seen these in some of the job descriptions. 20 years ago, you would have never seen a job description say an entrepreneur mindset. But nowadays, they're actually looking for people who can think on their feet, be very independent, can think on an entrepreneur mindset, thinking that you have nothing, how will you be finding out solutions? So this is what this program does. It takes you as an employee mindset. It helps to bring your brand into place so you can know and elevate yourself and stand out from the pack. And then it gives you some business ideas and how to bring your entrepreneur self with your employee mindset and merge the two together. So whether you're just wanting to elevate in your career, you don't want to do anything to do with business, it sets that little package and framework for you. And then if you want to attach a side business to your full-time business, it allows that envelope as well to happen. So that's just a little bit about the Elevate Intensive program there. So if you're here today, you may be feeling unfulfilled in your current work and looking for independence. You may be trying to juggle work-life balance. You may be thinking of starting a side hustle, but unsure of what that even looks like. For me personally, I had tried a few side hustles, and I was actually talking about that in training just before I joined this call, where I did Avon, I did life insurance, I did wills, I did other different businesses. This is along my tenure and experience in life. And so when I actually told people I was starting this business, they kind of looked at me like a deer in headlights, whereby, oh God, here she goes again, another business. And so even my family wasn't quite convinced that, this is a real thing. So I'm just here to share it with you. Sometimes you have to fall and get back up on that horse and fail forward, right? Because it's through me failing through these many businesses, I've now got to the business that really I'm passionate about. So the other thing that I want to really dive into and make sure that you understand is really working with a sense of purpose and passion. So whether you are an employee and you're like, Karen, I don't want that side business, that's just not for me. Even in your job, I want you to be coming at it with a sense of purpose and passion. If you're thinking about a side business, don't just think of it for the money aspect of it. Think of it of what's going to serve me, what's going to give me that purpose and that passion, because that's when the money will come. That's your secret sauce. And that's what we can help you to do if you don't even know what your purpose or passion is. So another bucket you might fall in if you're here today is you might want to pivot or change careers. I have many clients who start off as one thing and end up as another. They could start up in sales and then they could end up in some sort of management position, nothing to do with sales, or even going to being a fashion designer or an owner of something. So it all depends where you are. We're all in different parts of our lives. So we help to figure out that pivot. If you're here today, you might be wanting to build a personal brand or develop influence through thought leadership. And I highly, highly recommend this. If you're in an organization today, you need to be developing an influence. You need to be establishing yourself as a thought leader, as a subject matter expert, and not just in the field that people know that you're good at. I want you to pull some other strengths, pull some other things where you can actually be a center of influence. When you start to be that center of influence in an organization, so many doors open, so many opportunities open. People see you in a whole different light. So I really challenge you to show up as something and someone that's really different from what the status quo is, to develop that influence. And you can develop that influence by starting to find other things that interest you. So I don't want you to develop influence just for the sake of it. I want you to find out things in your organization where you kind of find like, that's kind of interesting, but I don't know enough about it. Start to develop those networks and start to develop those influences around people to put you and position you in the right place so people can see that you have the ability to be more than what you are. That's how promotions happen. That's where your secret sauce is. When people just don't have you pigeonholed as, just for example, head of sales, that they see you as much more. You can't just be the head of sales. If you want to get into management, maybe you have to have the position where you're managing people, maybe managing multiple projects at the same time. Those are the types of ways you can start to develop influence and through thought leadership. So how do we help you? So in my organization, we help you by building tactical and evidence-based strategies for your career advancement. We help you to build your side hustle or side business, however you'd like to phrase that. And we help you to become the leader that you've always wanted to be while getting the respect and recognition you deserve. And this one is really important. So I'm going to say it again. You want to become the leader you've always wanted to be while getting the respect and recognition you deserve. So many clients I have work really, really hard in their job, but they don't feel respected and they don't get the recognition. So if you're falling in this bucket, these are some of the ways that we can help you in the organization. We also help with building the confidence from the inside out. So I'm not saying that anyone doesn't have confidence on this call, but sometimes we can be a little bit shaky. Sometimes imposter syndrome comes up where it in fact really hurts you and hinders you from really moving forward. One of my acronyms that I love, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, is what FEAR stands for. So for me, FEAR stands for false evidence appearing real. And 9 out of 10 times, was that someone that wanted to say something? Maybe not. Okay. 9 out of 10 times, I just muted everyone. 9 out of 10 times, when you have fear, it's really stories that you've told yourself. And fear is false evidence appearing real. So make sure that you remember that acronym. And the stories that we tell ourselves when we're stuck in fear is really made up stories to prevent us from moving forward. And what we do is we attach ourselves to these stories, and we look for evidence in our past to prove that these stories are right, or we look for evidence in our future to prove that these evidence are right. So what I want you to do is when fear kicks in, or when you feel nervous or scared about something, I want you to separate fact from feeling. And what I mean by that is I want you to look at the facts and see where are the evidence that says that what this story is that you've told yourself is true. And you become like a little detective and you try to figure out if there's any facts to it. 9 out of 10 times, there's no facts to these. These are feelings that you're actually feeling, whether it be scared, insecure, all these different things are coming up. So that's one way for you to sort of overcome some of the fear-based feelings that happen with you, is just separating them, taking yourself out of the picture and saying, okay, I'm feeling this way. Is this a fact? Where's the evidence to prove this? Or is this my feelings? The other part that how we can help you is how we can help you to create a compelling personal brand that leaves a lasting impression on others. Every time you meet someone, every time you're introduced to someone, every time you show up at an event, a space, a family get together, you have your personal brand and you want to leave a lasting impression, especially if you're an employee or you're working in an organization, or even if you have a side hustle or a side business, you want to leave that lasting impression. I'm here today, and believe it or not, I'm leaving a lasting impression on you. It may be good, it may be bad, but I'm still leaving some sort of impression. So think about the last event or the last place you went with a few people involved. What personal brand or what impression do you think you've left on that person? These are things you need to think, especially as you want to go up the corporate ladder or you want to start a side hustle or business. These are really important. And then the last but not least way that we help you is we help you to obtain the optimal performance results right now. Your dreams really don't have to be as far away as you think. Once you get the right help and the right support, it is real. I've done it, you can do it. There might be people on the call too that have also done it, but you do need to put a strategy in place. You do need to have the right people in place to make these dreams come true. People always talk about finances. Yes, finances are a huge part of business, but I have to tell you that I started with nothing. I didn't have anyone that was able to give me a big windfall. I didn't have relatives. I didn't have friends. I didn't have business partners that could say, Karen, here's $2,000. Karen, here's $5,000, even $500. I didn't have anyone that could give me anything. So that's why I'm in a position with starting from nothing and ending with something. And so I'm here to show you how you can do that if you have that barrier that says, well, I don't have enough money. I'm here to show you that you can still do it with limited to nothing as well as finances. It starts, first of all, with your attitude, and it starts with your perseverance and your resilience to make things happen. When you come with that attitude that you can make things happen, whether it be you're working and something is letting you down, you just make things happen. That's what we can help you with here today. So some of the tips that I want to go through also with you is developing that self-confidence. It's really important that you believe in you and that you love you. I know that might sound tacky, but no one else is really going to love you more than you. So you have to have the dream, and you have to have the ability to know that this is what I want to do with my life. That's extremely what helps me. I have to tell you, I didn't have, except for my immediate family, I didn't have anyone that actually said, Karen, you can do it. Karen, I see your vision. I had the complete opposite. So if I didn't have the self-confidence in, I knew that I wanted this dream to come true, really my dream would have fell short. Really, I wouldn't be where I am here today speaking with you, because there isn't really anyone that saw what I saw. They really just saw that I was looking at something that was really too good to be true, or really just wasn't realistic for the state of mind that I was in, first of all, and for where I'm coming from and my financials. It really, if you looked at my position, you would have said, that sounds great, but it's not really going to happen for you. So self-confidence and believing in yourself is crucial. Identifying your values. This one is so understated. People take values very wishy-washy, but do you actually know what your values are? Why is this important? You're probably thinking, because when you have a sense of values, nobody can shake you. When people come into your lives, or opportunities come into your life, even if it's related to work or business, if they don't align with your values, you need to let it go. So if you are starting a new job, or you're actually looking for a new job, you need to have your set of values. You look at the company, you see what the company stands for. You ask, you have an interview with the people, ask them some value-based questions during your interview. They always give you an opportunity to ask questions. How many of you actually ask value-based questions during the interview? Some of you probably say, well, how much money do I make? Is there room for growth? But do you ask value-based questions? Because when you align yourself with a value-based organization or a value-based business, you actually get more out of it. You stay, you have staying power now. You stay because it aligns, you give more of yourself, you work better, and then the money comes, because everything falls in place. Once you're happy, everything starts going into place. The organization makes more money, you make more money because you're performing more. If you're in sales, everything starts to align. So I hope some of that makes sense to you on the call. And then it's knowing your strengths. Well, if you don't know your strengths, how can you ever get anywhere in life? You've got to clearly identify, what are your 5 strengths? Is it communicating? Is it connecting with people? Is it graphic design? Is it fashion design? Is it health related? I'm a subject matter expert at being knowing all my naturopath things. Like, what is it for you? What are your strengths? If you know your strengths and you know your values, you have that self-confidence, you are on your way to success. I heavily believe in learning. The more that you learn is the more that you know. Everyone knows that knowledge is power. And having some sort of credentials behind you is extremely, extremely helpful. So it could be a course that you've taken. It could be, for me, as I told you, I was in my late 40s when I moved from being an employee to the CEO and founder of a company. And it was hugely important for me to get the credentials to be a coach. I didn't just stop at one. As the person I am, I actually have 3 designations. And even for that, it was almost, I was competing against myself, because I'm like, you're too old. Can you do it? Can you study? There's homework, there's assignments. You know, people were saying, like, why would you want to go back to school at this age? But in my mind, I knew that I wanted to build a brand, and that brand had to be credible. And I thought, well, who's going to take me seriously as a coach if I'm not credentialed? So that was something for me that I wanted to do. And I did it. Was it easy? No. But if anything's easy, then to me, it's not worth it. You don't really take value in life when things come easy. You actually find the value in life when you're scraping by, when you're doing things rough and tough. That is really what makes up the core of you as a resilient person. Resilient people don't have things easy. They fall off the horse, as I mentioned, and they jump back on. The other part I would say is passion for what you do. Be passionate, having a purpose behind what you do. They go hand in hand, passion and purpose. And then having a circle just like this London Financial Independence group is a wonderful group right here that will help you with your mindset. There might be some other organizations that you want to join for that. Becoming an influencer, as I said, in the workplace or in your business is huge. You don't have to be a social media influencer. You can actually be an influencer and a go-to person right here in your own work and home space. So those are the kinds of things that we help you to do. And so now when we talk about personal branding, that we're going to jump now to the personal branding sides of what we offer. So again, for personal branding, it's position you around what you know. So it's finding out what you know about your business. How much do you know about your business? It's explaining to you how to share your expertise, because we all are an expert in some sort of field that we do. So it's how to share that expertise. Content marketing versus advertising. We explain all what that means. And we turn that content marketing into a customer journey. And then we clarify who you want to serve. You have to know that. Who are your clients? Who are you trying to serve, whether you're doing a personal brand or a business brand? And then we put systems in place that help you to automate so you don't have burnout. That's one of the things that people have in business, is that they're doing too much and they've got too many different things going, and they really don't know how to automate their business. So we show you how to automate your business and have scalability in your business. And then we help you to create that personal brand that, like I said, that leaves a lasting impression by having attractive imagery and having that clear voice and message, and taking your customer through the entire journey from beginning to end. So 5 things I want you to consider if you are thinking about transitioning out of your corporate life. One is to have a big picture exit date. Doesn't matter if it's a year from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, it could be 5 years from now, where you actually decide, I want to retire at 55, or I want to retire at 30 or 40, whatever your state of mind is where you are. You should have an exit date, because that's now when you're sending out to the universe, this is what I want to happen. So it doesn't matter how far-fetched this date is. You could be a 20-year-old and thinking about, I want to retire at X amount. Doesn't matter where you are in your life, have an exit date. And then come up with a strategy. That's a plan for 6 to 12 months. And that includes financials, but it also, more importantly, includes the who, what, when, and how. This is all going to be a part of your plan. And we actually go into more detail when we meet with you on how to actually do that. But I'm just giving you a high level of some of the things you can think about. And then it's back to that self-analysis on your strengths and your values. Please be able to identify that and say that. If we had an elevator speech, would you be able to articulate to me what your strengths are and what your values are? And if you don't know your strengths and values, at some point this month, connect with yourself and figure out what your strengths and values are. You should know them as easy as you know your bank account or how much is in your bank book. Get connected with the right community. You've got a community right here. We have an Elevate community on LinkedIn as well. And there's other communities that I'm sure that you're a part of. So make sure that you get connected with the right community, and then get connected with a career or business coach. These are the things that I did not have when I was making my transition that are highly, highly important to my success. If I had these things in place on the onset, so much things would have looked a lot different. So again, I'm taking all my misfortunes and things that didn't go quite well for me, and I've packaged them up and bringing them for you here today, so you can understand some of those transitions in case you're thinking about it. And then if you're thinking about starting your business now, you have to choose the right platforms. As we know, there are so many social media platforms that are out there. Choose one. When you're just starting out, don't try to be on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, IG, Pinterest. Don't try to choose everything, because it could be quite overwhelming. Choose one. Now, if you're in the corporate, I want to just flip quickly back to the corporate. If you're in the corporate space, I highly, highly recommend that everyone here make sure they have a LinkedIn profile. I know some of you might say, well, I'm not looking for a job, so I don't need a LinkedIn profile. But remember, we are trying to establish ourselves as an influencer. That's where you start. That's your digital footprint, your digital communication to who you are and what you're about. If not, you're going to be the best the best kept secret out there, because nobody will know who you are. LinkedIn is a fabulous way to be professional, concise, an influencer, a thought leadership, or just even getting to know who else is out there. You know, who else is saying what? It's just expanding you globally as a global leader. So just start there. If you're thinking about your business, then choose one of the platforms, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok. Choose just one and start with there. And then we talk about a media plan, how you will attract your customers. That's something that you need to think about. And then back to the content marketing, batching. This is what's a game changer, is the content marketing, which you do between 30 to 60 days. And then there's a SWOT analysis, your strength, weakness, opportunities, and strengths and threats analysis. And that's really who's your competition. And then what's your USP? For those that don't know, that's your unique selling proposition. So these are some key things that you need to have in place when you're even considering or thinking about starting your side hustle or your side business. And now we have, we're not going to do actual traditional breakout sessions because I want to be able to see and feel and hear everyone today. So I know that this may get a little bit complicated, so we can either use raise hand. I think we've got some things happening on the chat, and we can be here for about, ooh, that time already. Okay, so we can be here for a good 15, 20 minutes, and you can ask questions or even just have comments if you thought something resonated with you. You can pop that in the chat and we can go from there. So I'll pause here for a moment because I know I did a lot of talking, so your head might be spinning just a little, but I wanted to make sure I gave you a lot of information so that you have some value in the session to this evening. So I'll pause.
Does anyone have any questions yet? Oh, I've got a bunch that I've written down, so I'm happy to kick off. But I'm sure there are plenty of questions.
Okay, yeah.
I'll jump in first then.
Okay.
So it's a really interesting topic, and from the chat, we've had so many people saying how well everything's, how clear everything is being explained. And it's great because it's not a traditional topic for us. Everyone in the group is thinking mostly about finance, but I think we don't spend enough time thinking about things like how do you transition from a working life to retirement. So I was wondering how you would approach that transition, like when you actually get to, having work, and then all of a sudden you're free. How would you approach that?
Yeah, and that's one, again, that transition is a lot of people are in that as they become empty nesters. But I would look at that the same way in figuring out what your needs are, what gets you excited, what's something that you really want to accomplish now in this next chapter, because this is where the magic is. Sometimes we look at the next chapter as we have nothing to do. There's so much that you can do. It can even be as far as volunteering. Are there organizations that you've always wanted to be interested in, but when we're working with the 9 to 5, we don't have much time. So even to have a side business is very, very hard. So I don't want it to seem like it's easy to start a side business when you're working full time. I have to tell you from doing it, you have to be extremely disciplined, but you also have to have an accountability partner that also keeps you on set on what you said that you're going to do. So as far as the retirement, I would still go back to looking at your strengths and what your values are. And why I say that is because when you're going into retirement mode versus where you were before, believe it or not, your strengths and your values change, because they're not the same anymore. What you valued before might have been about money, to be honest. Just giving an example, when pre to retirement, you might have been so focused on getting lots of money or getting your retirement money up, and now you're in retirement, that value of saving might not be a value anymore. In actual fact, you may want to be giving back. You may even say, you know what, all the skills that I've built along the way, I want to be doing some freelancing or some consulting work with my time. So it still goes back to your strengths and your values of where you are right now, and actually be in the being mode instead of the doing mode. So when when you're working and you're an employee, you actually are in the doing mode. And why I say the doing mode is you don't stop to think. You go from one email to the next. You go from a meeting to another meeting. You then go home and you start cooking. So some of you might have kids, or you might have to do some other work when you come home. So you're constantly doing, and you're not actually taking a moment to pause, to be in the being mode. And that's what you can be when you're in that sort of going into that retirement. You can spend a lot more time being in the being mode, where you're observant of everything that's going around, and even observant of who you are and what you want to become. Anders, did you have your hand up? Yes.
Yeah, I just want to let Krishna come in. He has a question.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hello, Karen. Hello, Anders. Thanks for inviting us to such a wonderful session. All tips from Karen from 11-8 initiative of hers is so helpful. I can relate to most of that. But my question, coming to my question part, it's been around 45 days since I have started my startup. And I was working somewhere. But since I've started my startup and then seeing its users response and growth, I had to choose between my job and my startup. So guess what? I have chosen my startup, so I have to leave my job there. But now I'm wondering at this stage, was it the right decision to do so? Because I don't have any financial backup at this point of time, and I don't have a plan B as well. So will hustling solve all the problems? And if yes, how much time will it take? So please, Karen.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to salute you and congratulate you for making that jump, because a lot of people, again, come from a fear-based, where taking risk is actually really, really scary, and taking risk is where the opportunities happen. So I want to congratulate you. So I know right now you maybe feel like you're on an island on your own, because maybe you don't have that support, and you mentioned you don't have the financial backing to back you up, but it's okay.
Exactly.
It's okay, and it's going to be okay. What I would strongly suggest is you really come up with a strategy plan, and this plan has to envelope things that could go wrong potentially, and things that could go right. And why I say to go wrong is not to put you in a bad space of things going wrong, but really in life, and this is whether you start a business or you don't start a business, when you can get through things that may happen, that is actually what's scaring you, because you're thinking about what if that happens, what if that happens. So I really want you to do a whole laundry list of what could go bad, how you can find a solution for it, because I know you're going to be solution focused. This is the only way to get through in business, is how can I find solutions? How can I get around? What resources can I tap into to perhaps get financial backing? You're here on the call today. You don't know who's on this call right now that could provide you with financial backing. You don't know, do you have a social media presence? Do you have a LinkedIn presence? You've got resources right here. Anders has introduced you to me. You've got other people on this call. The first thing you have to do is talk, speak, let your voice be heard, because people know people. Then you need to come up with that strategy plan. You have to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, then like I said, you get somebody who can help you with a plan. But that strategy plan is going to come up with when you may not know something or when you know something, and that sets you on the course to move you forward, because you will have things that will take you off course. But with this strategy and plan, we have things in order, and that's what I didn't have. I mentioned that to you earlier. I didn't have a strategy, and I didn't have an exit plan. I didn't have a backup plan or a financial plan. Yes, I made it because I'm very disciplined and very focused, kept my eye on the prize, and that's what you have to do. You have to keep your eyes on the prize, because it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Why did you decide to go into business? Tell me what your strengths are. Tell me what your values are.
Okay, it's okay. So regarding Karen, first of all, thank you so much. I can totally get what you're trying to convey, basically here. So yeah, I'll work what could go wrong and what could go right. I'll definitely work on it. But regarding the startup, I was always passionate about startup, and I had this idea for a very long time that I was kept on postponing it. I'll do it today, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it after a month. But I had to do it at one point of time. So I had a discussion with my friend, and he pushed me that you can do it. You have this idea. You can. This is a great initiative. You have to see the response. So when I launched this startup and product hunt and everywhere, it just got huge within a month without any advertisement or any kind of spending a penny on it. I got around somewhere around 510 users on my startup without even spending a penny on it. So yeah, basically I'm somewhere positive about it, but somewhere I'm also pessimistic that what if things go wrong. I have left my job. I don't have any financial security kind of thing. So how long could I be able to pursue this passion of mine that I have a vision? So hope I'm able to convey. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you right now that what you're going through is part of the imposter syndrome that we went through. And the imposter syndrome lets you go into victim mode. So victim mode, for those that don't know imposter syndrome, victim mode is when you blame others, you go into I can't, you come up with 101 reasons why this is not going to work. Again, remember what I said, it's important to understand how the brain works. Unfortunately, the brain works towards negative. The brain never works and tells you how great you are. It doesn't ever gas you up or pump you up. The brain always steers you to the negative of what you can't do or why are you doing that. It always makes you feel very uncomfortable. So when you understand how the brain works, you intentionally have to talk to yourself. I know this sounds maybe weird for some, but you literally have to tell your brain, not today, I am great, I'm going to do this, I'm going to win. You have to reaffirm and put positive things into your brain to set you into the right mindset. I would strongly recommend that you get some sort of support to help you along the way in your business. Doesn't matter how much your business blows up, you still need that emotional support. So it's not so much financial, but it's that emotional and accountability support that will help you stay on the course of time. Does that make sense? Did I lose him? Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Does anyone else have a question? That's great advice already. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Should I look in the chat? I know we had a few comments. So
we had lots of comments, but no questions yet.
Okay.
I guess
what
I was
question in the group.
I'll wait for someone to pop up. But in the meantime, I was really interested to know. I think in finance, especially, and people always say, but you can only reach financial independence if you have, some kind of privilege and a good start and a good place to build on. And I'm really always interested to hear people who maybe have to be self-made. How did you kind of get yourself into that position, Karen? How did you say, okay, I'm coming from very little, but I'm going to make a success? What were the first steps, especially financially, that you took?
So, for me, financially, and I wouldn't recommend this again, I didn't have anyone that really would give me any financial backing. I guess they didn't see me as being very credible. So in the corporate world, I was extremely credible, extremely a center of influence. So I left that comfortable world where, I had first class tickets to things and access to many resources and things to go in on my own. So personally, for me, I actually cashed out some of my locked in funds to give myself a start. And that start wasn't even to start my business. That start was actually to take the course to get me credentialed. So I didn't use any money. I didn't have enough money to use for marketing. So what I did, as I said, and this was a big thing that I really want you to get your head around, is in my mind, I felt like I was not going to be successful because I didn't have any marketing. And I felt like you've got to be marketing. I kept looking at people on social media, how big they were and how many things they were doing. And so I said, well, I don't have any marketing experience. I mean, I'm good at what I do in my job, but that doesn't relate to having a business. And so for me, I just kept that determination, and I started talking and telling everyone. So in fact, I started coaching clients even when I wasn't actually certified. I told them I'm not certified, but they said, Karen, you're giving me great advice. I want you to coach me. So again, I took myself out of that comfort zone. Most people would have waited to get certified and then to go through the right process. But I literally took the bull by the horns, and I took myself out of my comfort zone and said, you know what, if I don't push myself out there, like I mentioned to you all earlier, I'm going to be the world's best secret. The only people that are going to know that I'm good are my family members. And even they're struggling to understand that I'm good. So I really decided to take the bull by the horns and really just go out there and reach beyond my comfort zone, and push myself. And I know that's easier said than done, but the belief in yourself is really huge in making any of this happen. If you don't have belief in yourself, and if you're dwindling and wondering that you don't have belief in yourself, then get the support person or the coach that can help you to show you how you can believe in yourself. Because I know that is the hardest part, is believing that you can actually make your dreams come true. Any other questions or comments or anything like that?
Yeah, I had a quick comment and also a question as well.
Yes.
Just in terms of transitioning and thinking about what you might want to do. I read an article recently about midlife transitions, and the writer was saying that what you should do is project forward to being 100 years old and someone asking you, what is it that you wish you'd done? And address that now in midlife. Now is the time to do that thing. So when you're 100, you're not looking back thinking, oh, I really wish I'd done whatever. So that can give you a bit of focus as to, you know, what you want to do. And then the question was, coaching is a bit of a minefield. And I wanted to ask you how you would go about finding a reputable coach, because there's a lot of kind of snake oil and, you know, people kind of tout themselves as coaches and they're not really. So what would be a good way of going about finding a reputable coach?
Yep. So you want to look for someone that's credentialed. So for me, I'm with the International Coach Federation. So, you know, every industry has a body or a regulatory body, like accountants have theirs, you know, financial people have theirs, CPAs have theirs, and so forth. So make sure that they are credentialed with the International Coach Federation, such as myself, and make sure that they're listed there. So that's one way of telling. And then again, using organizations like groups like this, where they have speakers, and obviously, you know, Anders and Caroline have vetted pretty much the speakers. I was Anders' coach, as he mentioned. So in my organization, we have a team of coaches. So we have men, women. It's not just me on my own. We have a team of men and women that are coaches. So, you know, have a look on the website, see if anything there interests you, and then we can go from there. And be sure to mention, if anyone is reaching out to me, please be sure to mention Caroline and Anders, the Financial Independence group, so that I know where you're coming from, and then you can actually get a discount. And then I can also just let them know that I won't give personal information, but I could at least let Caroline and Anders know that someone has decided to have that package, just to give them some recognition for that. So if you do reach out to the organization, take a look at the website or reach out to me personally, and you can have maybe just even a 15-minute or a 10-minute consultation with one of the coaches, just to see if they're a good fit, because that's the next important thing. You want to make sure that the person that you meet with actually understands you vibe with them, they get to know you. I know with Anders, I'm not sure if he actually chose me or not. I can't remember the setup that we had, but
I did.
Okay, so Anders chose me, but we immediately, I think he'll agree, we immediately connected, and you know, my rapport, his rapport, we just bonded from the very beginning. So you want to make sure that that you have that bond. It's almost like if you go to a doctor and the doctor's not that great, you're like, oh, maybe I'll try to get a different doctor. You want to make sure that the person and you get along together, both energies are in sync.
Do you think it's important for the coach to have the same kind of values as you, or is that not as important?
No, that's not at all. So the coach does not, absolutely not have to have, we have to be unbiased, not non-judgmental. We're there to help you. So we don't have to understand who you are. I, believe it or not, I have all walks of life of clients, from sales to doctors to lawyers to front-facing staff to HR, different leaders I have. I have people that have addiction. I have people that have mental health issues. Doesn't mean that I have those, but I help them. So that has nothing to do with it. It's more making sure that you have the same energies, or that they can help you in whatever ways that you might need help in. That's the most important, and the credentials.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And one of the other things I want you to think about as we go through this conversation today is thinking about, which one would you prefer? Would you prefer the pain of regret or the pain of change? So when you're going through your organization, or you're looking at a promotion, or you're starting a new job, or you're thinking about a side business, which one would you rather have when you reach 100 years old? Like was just mentioned, would you rather have the pain of change? So you did something that you changed your life, or would you rather have the pain of regret, where you're always in the, because you meet those people who are in the regret mode, might be our family, might be our friends, where they're like, oh, I wish I did that. Do you want to be one of those people that say, I wish, or regretful? Or do you want to say, you know what, as I'm standing with you today, I did a change. It was painful. I did feel kind of old when I'm in a class full of young millennials and I'm taking the course, but I did it anyway. So which bucket do you want to really fall into? Any other questions? And I can move along the slides, because we will have another segment where you can have a few more questions. So you'll have another part. Should I move on? Okay. So
I have one, if that's okay.
Did someone have a question?
Yeah, please speak
please
up,
jump
whoever
in
that
quick.
was. We couldn't quite hear that. Who just said something?
Is that Ralph?
Yeah. So I got a question.
Okay.
How have you researched your idea before going full ahead with your business and time investment?
So the funny thing is, the only thing that was super clear to me, I have to be perfectly honest with you, is that I needed to get out of my job. What I didn't tell you is that the reason I left my job is a couple things were happening. I had some health issues that was happening in my family, so that was stressing me out. More than that, I actually had a really bad boss. I had a really toxic environment that I was working with, where literally the person was out to get me. There was nothing I could do right. They always found fault with what I did. They never, on my performance review, no matter how much I showed that I overachieved, they would tell me that I've underachieved. And it was a no end zone. So I went to HR, I explained the situation. There was no help there. I guess because I was on the executive floor, you're at a different level there. And it was almost like I was roadblocked. So again, what happened with me is I then found a coach. I didn't know that that's what I was going to go into business with, but I found a career coach. And so the career coach helped me to navigate some things and where I want to go, my strengths, my values, and things like that. So then I thought, wait a minute, if I had this person before I left, I might have made different decisions. I might have acted differently and things like that. So then I thought, you know what? I want to get into a business where I am helping people who are exactly in the same situation as me, where either they don't know where to pivot to, what career change to go to, or they're in their job and they don't know how to get a promotion or to become an influencer or to move in their career progression. So that's what made me decide to do my business. So really, I didn't really research it that way. When I did look up coaches, I have to tell you, it scared the heck out of me because there was 1,000 coaches. And so I really when you're doing your research, be very mindful of what you're trying to accomplish from the research, because the research could actually hinder you from moving forward. It can actually overwhelm you. If you're in a business, say a startup tech, I'm not sure what that business actually was, but if you're in a startup tech, well, I work with Silicon Valley. Those are most of my clients. Do you know how many startup tech companies there are? That could really make you feel like, why am I starting? I've looked around and there's hundreds of thousands. What's going to make me different? So that's where we help you with your unique selling proposition, because in every business, there is another business. You are not going to be unique in your business, but you will be unique in your selling proposition, which is what we can help you with. So I did do a little bit of a search, and I came up with people like Tony Robbins and all these elaborate people. And I thought, well, I'm a small fry. How will anyone know who I am? So just be mindful of how much research. You do have to do research, but take it in a balance. I think Danny has. Did that answer? I just want to make sure I answered his question. Did that answer help you?
Yeah.
Okay.
In a way, yeah. Thank you.
Someone raised their hand.
Danny, I think. Yeah.
Ah.
Have you ever met anyone who was planning to go into business, and you spoke with them for a while, and you actually said, you know what, your best move is not to do this. It's not going to work out well for you.
Are you, okay, so I'm going to repeat that, Danny. Did you, because it kind of got cut off for me. Did you say that you're a coach and you was talking to somebody else about their business idea and you didn't think it was a good business idea?
No, I was asking you, have you ever met somebody who's come for coaching and they've come with you with an idea that they felt was great, but you was concerned that it wasn't going to work out well for them? Would you ever say to them, you know, that's not the best plan. Maybe you should think of something else?
So part of coaching is not me telling you what to do, just so you understand what coaching is, because consulting and coaching are two different things. So just so you know, from a consultant's point of view, which I do consulting as well, but from a consultant's point of view, the client is looking to be told what to do. They just they give you a project, or they give you something, a role or responsibility. And my job as a consultant is to come in and say, you need to do this, this, and this, almost like a teacher and you're the student. That's a consultant role. A coaching role is completely different. A coaching role is me getting out of you what you already know. So that's the difference between a coaching, is not us telling you what to do. It's providing you with a support system and tips and tricks and mechanisms that actually it comes from you, but you don't realize it comes from you. People always say, oh, Karen, you're the best thing since sliced bread. Yes, I am. But you are as well. So it's an equal playing field. My job is really to bring out the best in you and help you to make the best decisions, but it comes from you. But I do it in a way that you don't realize that you actually knew this all along. And Anders will, I think, attest to some of this, where he had ideas, he just needed that extra support to kind of even validate what he actually already knew. I mean, I'd love to say that I did all these great things, and he'd probably say I did, but I believe that he had it in him already. And all my job was to help him to almost either get some clarity or bring it to fruition, or help to bring it to light, or help him to see the bigger picture. But you had it in you already. So does that answer your question between coaching and consulting? So no, I wouldn't say that. Yeah. I wouldn't say that. In our whole business transaction and strategy, you'll be able to see from our business strategy and structure and framework whether this is going to work or not. And every business idea can work or not. It depends on you. So there are no bad business ideas. It just depends on how you're structuring it. Have we thought about the pitfalls? Have we thought about the financials? Have we thought about the bigger picture, the smaller picture, the small deals? There's a lot that goes into the business plan, the structure and the framework. But when we do all of that due diligence, it's very apparent and it's very clear for you whether it's going to work or not by the time I'm finished with you. I don't need to say anything.
So you just basically point out all the questions or at least let them realize those pitfalls in their mind and realize, oh, actually, this is not a very good idea.
Yes, and you come to that answer. I may already know the answer, but I would never put my thoughts onto you, because now this idea is actually becoming all about me. And the coaching session is not supposed to be all about me. It's all about you. You're just trying to get the support that you need in order to move forward. That's how coaching works.
Yeah, and your great skill, Karen, is your ability to grasp the situation, understand the person, and then ask questions. You asked me a million questions and just sort of guided the situation. And at the end of it, everything just became very apparent to me. So there was definitely some magic there.
Great. All right, so we're going to move on. Don't worry, we're going to have another segment where we're going to have this same Ask Me Anything or comment or question. So I'll just move on for a few minutes and then we'll come back to this part here. It's a very short part we have left here.